Welcome back here to Madiyama, Papua New Guinea, down in the deep jungles of PNG for sure. It is warm and muggy. Temperature says it's 43 degrees Celsius. I don't think it's quite that hot, but it's definitely warm. Alright, once our RTG drops below 200...
TOS system test, okay.
Introduce our fuel. Watching the NG come up, watching the ITT come up pretty quick just because I shut down 10 minutes ago. There we go, start is done. Right, so I'm heading back to Goroka, my home base, on an hour flight. Think about the time I get back into the area, it's supposed to be raining potentially, but this is PNG, and it's like micro-tropical climates, so you really don't honestly know exactly what you're going to get. Well, it says it's 105 in the cockpit right now, so let me point every one of these air vents at me. Got 900 pounds of fuel on board. And I am empty today, heading back. So 5,500 pounds for takeoff. So let's rotate it. 55 and 64 if we had to come back in. Orsby 1267, November Tango Kilo, taxi. I don't think I'm going to get him on that one. Let me try the other one. Orsby 6598, November Tango Kilo, taxi.
November Tango Kilo, must be go ahead.
November Tango Kilo, taxi, Madiyama, Goroka, 1 POB.
November Tango Kilo, northbound traffic.
November Tango Kilo. I've had a couple of you guys mention, oh, why don't you taxi around with the yoke all the way back like this? If it's really soft ground and I'm heavy or something like that, then I will. Or if I know that it's going to be really soft ground, then I will. If it's not, it doesn't change anything. It's only when it's really soft ground or maybe long grass that it makes a difference, and really it's only on takeoff that I'm really concerned about that. So on takeoff you'll see me pull it back to probably about there, just to relieve a little bit of that pressure from the nose. But in taxiing, really it doesn't change anything. At least not in this airplane. Alright, fuel caps and selectors are done. Our controls are just dead. We'll turn our train awareness system off. Our switches and instruments. All of our switches are set up. All of our instruments are set up. Got my flight plan in there. Flaps we can set at 20 degrees. Get our trim set up. Flaps and radar are good. We don't have radar on this airplane. Trim and abort. I'm going to be airspeed alive by the first cone on the right. Otherwise we'll abort. After takeoff we'll pitch for 85 knots. Initially track to the closest. There's a big lake out right in front of me with crocodiles. So I'm just going to go to the edge of that. They say that the crocodiles don't go after people, but hey, I don't know. We're going to consider EPL, consider feather. Otherwise we're going to cut out, pull off, and shut off. Emergencies masters, crack my door, and 80 full flaps. All stations Madiyama 1267, November Tango Kilo. We'll be departing Madiyama for Goroka. We'll be on climb 1000. Alright, let's go off of 34 degrees. That seems a little more realistic. At sea level, so 1470. Ignition condition flaps 20, fuel and harnesses 1470. Rotate 55. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my arm back, lock it in because it's kind of bumpy. If I don't lock it in, it just kind of goes like this, and I don't want to fight it. I just want to just set the wheel just to skim above the ground. And we'll see how many grasshoppers I kick up out of the way. There's like millions out here. 1470. Alright, brakes release. Torque is set. Airspeed's alive. Once the nose just barely comes up, I just release the pressure a tiny bit. There we go. The nose drop, get my speed up. My wave. Watch out for that bird. Alright, well, let me fly around this lake real quick because I'm heading out that way anyway. Get my flaps up and out of here so I don't have an overspeed if I'm not paying attention. Just fly down this lake real quick so you guys can see just the beauty of PNG. I love it out here. It's stinking hot, but it sure is pretty. Be a perfect wakeboarding lake. I mean, it is like perfectly calm all the time. I'm heading out that way, but the clouds are just going to make it a little bit harder to climb through. I can go through IMC, basically go through the clouds, but we're also climbing towards terrain over there. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my IMC climb this way, because I know I can remain clear of any mountains, and get out of here. So we'll put our ITT back up to 720 for our climb. We're clear of all mountains on this heading. Heading mode on and autopilot, and get going on our call to Moresby. Moresby 1267, November Tango Kilo, departure.
And November Tango Kilo, Moresby, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo departed Mariyama, time 35, tracking 113 on climb not above 11,000. Estimating overhead Yambai Talk 56.
And November Tango Kilo, north for the traffic here, QNH 1008. Yambai Talk call on 120.1, HS 6598.
1008, Yambai Talk 120.1, 6598, November Tango Kilo. I thought I'd show you guys my track right here. You guys can see it kind of comes up, over, and then over again. And the reason being, if I zoom in here for you guys, we've got a river coming out right there. So that's where all the mountains are, and where all the mountains are, that's where all the clouds are. So just to make my life the easiest, it's easiest to do my climb just straight ahead right here, rather than if I were to do a direct track, it would take me through all those clouds right there that are going all the way up to probably 17,000, 18,000 feet today, and then mountains. So I can't just go through the clouds because I'm not at a minimum safe. So basically I'm just doing my climb all the way up to 11,000 feet over this green area. This is seeping, there's no mountains out here, until I get to the mouth of that valley, the Jimmy Valley. That's right where Yambai Talk is. I've taken you guys there many times. Then once I get here, I get into the Jimmy Valley, which is just going to open up really big. All the clouds and everything is all going to be built out here and here. Then I'm coming all the way to Chembu. There's some gaps through here that we'll take you through on the way up there, into another big valley, and then work our way into the Goroka Valley. So if you're like, man, Ryan, why don't you just go like IMC? It just seems like so much easier. It's just because of the height of all the mountains. I would just have to go so much higher. And to be honest, it's just so much easier just to do these climbs and go where you know works every single time. Because sometimes, not every, but I mean, Brad and I were flying last Friday. We actually went out to Mariyama on our same trip, this exact same trip back to Goroka. There was a nice layer over the Wagi Valley, to where if we would have stayed at our IMC, like our safe, minimum safe altitude at 11.6, then we would have been stuck up there, forcing us to go through weather that we didn't want to, because we weren't underneath of it to where we could just maneuver how we wanted to and get into Goroka a little bit quicker and easier. Because it's one thing, like if you're flying in the States and you're flying on an IFR route, and they have all these approaches and step downs and everything else. We don't have that into these mountain locations. Even into Goroka, we don't have those. We have to get down on our own. So if we're stuck up high and there's not a way to get down, which there usually is, it's easier just to work your way on your own rather than going on like this 16,000 foot minimum safe all the way where you need to go. We've got about 35 more minutes to run for Goroka, and as you can see just all ahead of me, I'm actually heading out kind of like through that direction right there. It just looks like a huge massive wall of clouds, just because there's a big mountain range all that goes up through here. So all this light area, that's all lowlands, and then the dark area is mountains, and then there's another lowland area or valley on the other side. I put myself into a gap. It's the Kimmel Gap. Then onto Chembu, and then onto Goroka, just because there's this hiring train right here. That's all like our highest mountain at 15,000 feet.
November Tango Kilo, Moresby.
November Tango Kilo, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo, traffic is off for November Juliet Fokker 100, taxing Mount Hagen for Moresby. Departure will be on cloud flight level 330, tracking Hagen Yabal.
Copy Alpha November Juliet, November Tango Kilo. Well, I don't know if this gap is going to be open, but like 95% of the time, this gap is open. You don't actually see it until you're only like 5 miles from it. So you're just kind of trekking along all these clouds, seeing a couple options here and there, but Mount Hawkins airspace is right there, and just to stay out of it, it's going to add another 5 minutes if I go right through here and then go all the way into the Woggy, so it's easier if I just continue on and hope for the best. Hasn't let me down yet. It's one thing I've learned flying here now for, I don't know, 5, 6 years, 6.5 years, something like that. That you just can't freak out till you get out there. Like I always tell Oliver, Brad, and Jeff, I'm like, don't freak out about the weather until you get there, because it always looks way worse than it really is until you get there, and then you're like, oh, okay, now there's actually some holes here. And I started like really like noticing trends on how the weather patterns work, and like right ahead of me there's probably like there's like a place that comes out, like a kind of like a jetty that comes out, and there's always clouds. You have to go around it, and then that's where your gaps are. Once you start to see these trends, it makes flying here a lot more enjoyable. If you're a flight simmer, you'd like to fly this same route that I'm doing today. I've got Malamunda and I've got Mariama, the place that I've flown out just both times today, Mariama and Malamunda, for Microsoft Flight Sim as a patch you guys can add to your game and fly out of it. Some other creators have created it to make it look as realistic as possible. I think the Malamunda one that I just left actually has some crocodiles on the runway even. If you're interested, check out my Patreon page. I've got a lot of on-the-ground content. I actually shot an on-the-ground video out in Mariama on Friday. Today's Monday. I'll be posting here shortly, as well as a bunch of other places. Malamunda, I did it. The last video I shot, I've got a couple on-the-ground videos. Throw the drone up. So if you're interested in more of that kind of content, it's a little bit more walking around the airplane and around villages and things like that, check the link out down below. It looks like I'm seeing a hole right down in through that area right there, so I'm actually going to just put it on heading mode and start actually heading that way. It looks like I can actually see all the way into the next valley, the Woggy Valley. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll at least stick our nose in there and see if we can go through it. If not, pretty much around this big grouping of clouds. Actually, I think just to prove my point, let's just do that. Like I said earlier, like 95% of the time, this valley or this specific gap is always open, and there's clouds that come out. So let's actually just go around that. Let's just forget that gap that I could probably see all the way through. It looks like I can. So, and let's see if this actually works. I'm gonna look like an idiot if it doesn't though, but that's all right. Alright, so if for some reason this gap does not work, I want to quickly look at my chart to see what is my minimum safe. If I wanted to, it looks like there's a bunch of rain over in that valley. If I needed to go IMC, what's my plan of action here before I have to just start scrambling? So I want to be thinking about that now. Looks like 9,400 to 9,800. So let's just go with the larger number. 9,800. Alright, so the gap itself is at 7,000. I'm at 11,000. So what I could do is I could just go directly right over the gap and connect into...
1B1201 Alpha November Juliet.
Connect into another route over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw in a route real quick. North Mount Hagen.
2,500 climb. Flight level 330, estimate Yabal 10.
North Mount Hagen.
Alpha November Juliet, no reported traffic.
Copy now, traffic Alpha November Juliet.
Then what you guys can see is it comes up here and then it comes back down to North Mount Hagen, and then it has a track. So that white line is my track. So once I got here, if I did have to go through the clouds, I'd basically just track directly to join in with that and then join in with that, because that track is my one of our IFR routes that we've created actually for our own company. So yes, IFR flying is so much different here in Papua New Guinea. Basically, you have to come up with your own self-derived in a lot of areas. We have our own charts that I've come up with and made it in Photoshop and geosynced it and put it into ForeFlight. But this particular route, we actually don't have an IFR route that we can go off of. So basically you have to come up with your own by using the PNG regulations on mountain clearance, basically. What I look for to kind of navigate through these clouds is I'm looking for different dark sections, and I'm looking for definite lines on the top of the ridges. It's kind of like if you're doing a puzzle, you know how you find all the edge pieces first because they're like a definite line, and even all of it and all the pieces everywhere you can go, oh, there's a straight line. That's kind of what I'm looking for in clouds, is I'm looking for like a really sharp line that shows that's the ridge, and that way I can go, okay, now I'm getting an idea of where I am and things like that. Hopefully I don't have to go through too much rain today. I forgot that the battery packs that I have on my 360 cameras basically make them non-waterproof. And I've already destroyed one of the screens off of them. So hopefully there's not too much rain up here. I already went through some before and I was like, oh man, I forgot. They're not waterproof, but it's still blinking, so that's good. Alright, I don't see any ridges down there, but I am seeing, I think, the other side of the ridges, on the other side of the valley. And all those clouds up there, they look like they're like 20 miles away, which is an indication that they're on the other side of the valley as well. This valley, then I'll quickly determine, yeah, see, look at this, the valley is now completely wide open.
The 1201.
And I'll determine, do I want to get on my IFR route all the way into Goroka, or do I transition back down to VFR flying just by visual? My guess is once I get past into the Wagi Valley, I'm going to start my descent down to 9,000 and just work my way into the Goroka Valley that way.
Requested amended flight level 350, stand by.
Because if I do want to do my IFR route, I need to get up to 11.6 on this track right here, and then remain 11.6 all the way, basically all the way down to the Goroka Valley, which throws me about 10 miles to the south of the field. So, in case I have to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and put in my next reporting point in case I have to go all the way down there.
Declared to climb and cruise amended flight level 350.
Climb to cruise amended flight level 350, Alpha November Juliet.
And this is why I bring extra fuel. Days like this, you just don't know. I'm looking at the valley floor, and it's very bright. It's not like covered up with clouds, which shows me that the actual middle of the valley doesn't have any clouds over it, so the sun's able to get down into it, even though all I'm seeing ahead of me is just clouds. I'm going to come out here, come around the corner. Looks like there's rain on my direct track right through there. Because there is rain right on my direct track going that way, I think I'm just going to continue on until I join in with my IFR route. And then at that point, I know that if I'm at 11.6, then I'm at a safe altitude no matter what, whether I do go through clouds or rain or whatever else. Again, I just don't want to destroy my 360 cameras because of rain. I didn't really think about that before I put those battery packs on. You can start seeing through the rain right there. That's actually kind of where I need to go, but I think it's actually going to get a little bit better right around this corner up here. So a little bit further, even though I'm still seeing like 20 miles, probably the camera picks it up a lot better. Not too much. So because I was seeing so far out that way, I'm going to go ahead and start my descent now. Zooming on down to like probably 8,500 feet, because I can see all the way up to the Schwabe area, and I know that if I can get up through there and it looked pretty clear, then I should be able to make my way in just fine using the VFR route into Goroka today. So we're just going down like 1,600 feet per minute right this minute. Pull my power back just so I don't get going too fast. And lots of left rudder pressure on the way down. There we go, looks like I can just skirt right around all this rain. There's 2,600. Myself into a bank and I'll get even more descent. There's 3,000. There you go. There's my 8500. And my power on back in. Right back up to 1250. It is the one nice thing about flying in Papua New Guinea is they have these little tiny microclimates everywhere. So it can be like heavy rain up there, and then beautiful here, and then heavy rain over in these mountains, and then heavy rain up ahead of me as well, but probably not around the next corner.
November Tango Kilo must be?
November Tango Kilo, go ahead.
And November Tango Kilo, traffic is here, Delta Alpha, PEC 750 departed Negabo for Goroka 7000, estimate Goroka 0337. Checking inbound via the Coco and Mike Alpha Juliet. Cessna Caravan departed Medeng for Goroka, time 1610,000, estimate Goroka 0342.
Copy, Sierra Delta Alpha, Mike Alpha Juliet, November Tango Kilo.
And November Tango Kilo, Sierra Delta Alpha, no additional reported traffic. At 15 miles Goroka, contact Goroka Tower 118.7.
Contact Goroka Tower 15 miles, November Tango Kilo. You guys can see right above me, I'm at 8,400 feet right now. Cloud level is probably maybe like, I don't know, 200 feet at most, maybe 100 foot above me, something like that, kind of broken and stuff. If I would have done my IFR route and stayed at 11, I would have had to have gone just through all of this stuff, and then I'd have to actually probably would have added on an extra about 10 minutes to the flight, because I have to go, maybe not that much, 7 minutes to the flight, because I have to go so much further south of Goroka before I can get into the valley to where I can get back down through it, if it continues on, which this section usually does. So getting down and underneath of it, and it's you know how like it's similar to maybe a helicopter, similar, where they're always like wanting to stay low to the ground so they can stay visual and work their way around. In this type of environment, it definitely is so much easier just to stay down underneath of it and work your way in and work around it, because I've got rain there and then rain over there, but then straight on ahead, it's nice, but there's still rain all in the area that I need to go actually, but I could just continue on until I find a break and get down into the actual valley that I need to. I have a little bit of coffee left over from Papua New Guinea because I had so many requests on how can we get some PNG coffee and try it out. The stuff that I fly out, I'll have it on my website, and like I said, it's a very limited amount. First come, first serve. Don't miss out because it is very good. Right, so I can start to see through and see the ridge line that I need to get over, 2 ridges over there. There's still just a lot of rain in the way, and when you start getting into rain when you're low to the ground, your visibility reduces like tenfold. It's like kind of scary sometimes how much you lose visibility because you're slowing down, the rain's not coming off your windshield as quickly as you'd like it to. So I'm just going to continue straight ahead, and you can kind of see like a line of rain. I'm just going to go around that. My expectation is that's where it stops, and I can come around and go through the Call Gap or something. That's where it's really nice to really know the terrain that you fly in really, really well. I wouldn't do this if I didn't have like the confidence of what the terrain's doing. I know that's Ilambari, I know it's Suave, I know where all my gaps are, like I've memorized the mountains, but I remember as I very first started flying here years ago, I didn't have that knowledge of what the mountains were and how like they went, and it was just way more stressful just not knowing where I thought it might be clearing out, you know? There, now you guys can see what I mean by visibility. It reduces like immensely, and that's just with a little bit of sprinkles. And then you basically, it kind of creates like a black hole effect. If you're like flying into the sun, all the mountains just turn black. It's very similar to that, where everything just turns black really quick. Goroka Tower, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, Goroka.
November Tango Kilo, 15 miles to the west, 8,200. Tracking for the call, your circuit 35, copy, Mike Alpha Juliet.
November Tango Kilo, copy, runway 35, right to enlighten variable, QNH 1016, track report left base.
1016, track port right base. The left base for 35 right, November Tango Kilo. 1016, set up my standby as well. No, it's a beautiful day, it's a good habit. Start up our checklist, our fuel selectors and brakes, our TAWS is off. We'll get our VRF once we pass this ridge right here, just so my eyes are up and out. And that's the nice thing about these things. If you guys are a pilot, check out my site. I've got these for turbine, I've got them for piston, complex, simple airplanes.
500.
And they're a great tool for keeping your eyes up and out and covering all your like critical items for takeoff and landing. All right, you know what, we'll just come in at 70 knots just because I know that I'm empty and that's more than enough. We'll do lights and inlet. We have to go around, power up 20 degrees of flaps. Pitch for 12 degrees on the horizon. Reset our ITT. Yeah, he's just a little bit behind me. Croker Tower, November Tango Kilo, joining left base 35 right.
Runway 35 right, clear to land.
Clear to land 35 right, November Tango Kilo. All right, now we're 2.8. Let's start pulling our power back. Push the prop forward. Pull back on the nose. Slowing us down as quickly as we can. There's 138. 10 degrees flaps.
Juliet.
Up and harness done. Here's our 5800. Our cork on back to around 200. There's 20 degrees of flaps. Shooting for 5600, turning final. There's the full flaps checklist complete. And there's 5600.
Alpha Juliet.
Mike Alpha Juliet, York Tower, transmission braking bit.
500.
The Foxtrot coming into a base just about now. We're just slowing on down to 70 knots. 1 knot or left crosswind, 1 knot tailwind. Checklist is complete.
Tower Sierra Delta Alpha left way supervised. Visual with Nova Zero.
Alright, 400 on the descent.
Delta Alpha, continue approach, expect late landing clear.
Continue approach, Delta Alpha.
He's right behind me, so I'm just going to go ahead and roll it on out quickly. Not really go into reverse, but hit my brakes. I don't see any birds, we're continuing. Afloat for a long time. My extra speed. We'll just roll it out for that guy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're new here, consider subscribing. If you're not new here, consider subscribing. That's how my channel will outgrow, and feel free to share this with anybody else and leave a comment down below what you guys thought. Welcome here to Goroka.
Delta Alpha, 35 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, Alpha.
Alright guys, see you next time. Thanks for joining.